Hi everyone! I decided that while I'm stuck in a hotel for 2 weeks, I wanted to make some type of video, and I guess today's main theme is going to be actually to talk about how I tried to move back to Australia in an eco-friendly way and some of the things that I did to make this process as eco-friendly as I could, because I guess for anybody who has moved between countries, you might know that moving is not always the most eco-friendly process. But before that, I thought I would also explain the situation that we are in right now. So basically, we came back to Australia, and because of coronavirus, we need to stay in a hotel for 2 weeks. The government pays for it, and the hotel that we are in right now is in the middle of the city. But I suppose there's positives and negatives. So for example, we can't open the windows, so we can't get any fresh air, and we can't leave the room. So we get fed 3 meals a day, and that's basically it. So last night we arrived from Singapore on the plane. There was about less than 30 people other than us, and I was even surprised that they decided to fly with that number of people, but we were lucky that they did. And when we arrived, we went through the normal process that you go through at the airport, except for that there was a lot of police and army personnel around as we walked out of the airport to get onto the buses to go to the hotel. I've heard that there's people staying in backpackers and there's people staying in 5-star hotels. So I would say that we're probably in the middle of those two. The view, which I'll show you in a minute, is basically just buildings very close to Wynyard Station, and also for anybody that knows Sydney's history, we are next to a building called the Tank Stream, which refers to the stream or the underground stream that actually runs under the streets of Sydney. Before I start talking about our eco move, why don't I show you a little bit of the room that we are staying in. So here is a mini room tour. We basically put our own quilts and blankets on the bed, and you can see our tudoeji toki. Because I wasn't happy with the quilt here. Basically they didn't wash it. They just put a sheet on top of it, and there was no sheet on the bottom. It was really not clean. Anyway, so then this is the bathroom. Luckily I brought cleaning things because we're not allowed to leave this room, so at least I can clean the bathroom. I suppose this is a chance for me to show you my eco tabs. So basically what this is instead of using traditional toothpaste, you pop this tab in your mouth, and then you don't have to use toothpaste in a plastic tube. I find this to be really foamy and effective, and it tastes better than normal toothpaste as well. Let me show you what it looks like. I've got to brush my teeth anyway. This is also something I wanted to show you guys, because this is deodorant. It's from Australia. It's really effective, and as you can see, it doesn't come in plastic. It comes in a tin, and these tins are pretty useful because of course they're recyclable, but at the same time you could probably find other ways to use these tins. As a school teacher, definitely you could use them for something, but in any case, it's all natural. It doesn't have any ingredients that are bad to put underneath your armpits, on your armpits. So I do recommend this, and it's just another way to try to reduce plastic packaging in the same way that these tabs do as well. Okay, so we're back. So where do I get started in regards to the move? Well, one of the things that I really want to introduce to everybody is an app called Olio. A teacher at my school, she's from Mexico, and she introduced me to the app. It's originally from the UK, but it's being used all over the world, and it's a really great way to reduce food waste when you move overseas. So a lot of the time you might have products that you've only used half of, be it rice, pasta, cereal, or even spices, herbs, teas that you don't want, even as far as things like Tabasco or curry paste, even things that you've actually used half of already. There might be somebody who is willing to take that from you and use that. And that's what I found in Singapore. So the way that the app works is that it locates the neighborhood that you are in, and then whatever you post, so you take a picture of what you want to give away, to the people around you, it will tell them how close you are, and then if they decide to come to your place, like it might say that you're 500 meters away from them, or a kilometer or 2 kilometers, and then they can make their way over to your place. And obviously you arrange the meeting time through the app, and it's a really good way to give things away for free. So if you've tried to sell something on an app like Carousell or Gumtree, when I was in Singapore, I used Carousell a lot. I know it's not quite as popular in Sydney, but it does exist, and it's just an alternative to Gumtree. So there were some things that I was trying to sell initially on Carousell, like a mini rice cooker that we used for a year. But if there is something that you just can't happen to sell, you can see if anybody would like to take it for free. And so that's what happened on this app called Olio. So it's not just about food. You can also give away household items. I even gave away some scuba diving like goggles and stuff like that. Yeah, so it's a really good way to reduce waste and stop sending things off to stores like the Salvation Army or Vinnie's, who are often just overwhelmed with people dumping stuff outside their shops. I've seen it when we used to live in Chatswood. There was a sign that said, "Don't dump your stuff outside the shop," and people would just go ahead and dump it there, and then over a long weekend there would just be a pile of stuff out the front. And I find that is really ignorant of people, and it's kind of like just used as a dumping ground. It's not like they actually want to give a genuine donation. So here you can also see that I have shared with 10 people, and it shows you how many meals I saved, how much water I saved as well through my sharing. And if you think about it, if I was to throw out those foods that I didn't need, I really would be wasting a lot of water, because it takes a lot of water to make those foods, to transport them to my house, in the making of the packaging that those foods came in. That all uses a lot of water. So it's really nice to see your impact. If you press this button, again, you can see it here, and the more you contribute, obviously the bigger impact you're going to have. You can also read more about what it means by accessing the Olio website as well. So just something that tells you a little bit more about why this is a great app. And then speaking of clothing waste, so sometimes, you know, you can't donate all of the clothes that you have. If they're in bad quality, if they're broken, if they're moldy, smelly, or whatever, you can't donate those clothes. But there is a way, other than just throwing them into the bin. I mean, I'm sure that it's not a perfect way, but what you can do is take them to H&M. Some of you might already know this, but if you go into a H&M store, there are recycling bins inside H&M for clothing waste, and they don't necessarily use your clothes to donate to other people, but instead what they say that they do is that they break them down into basically post-consumer, I think they called it fibers or something like this, that they can use in things like construction, laying carpets, like the underlayer of your carpet. I'm not really sure exactly how this works, but a lot of this is not so transparent. So even if you try to research on the internet, does H&M really use all of their post-consumer fabrics to stop that going into landfill? There's never going to be a guarantee, but it's better than just chucking it out the front of Vinnie's and letting it sit there rotting and getting rained on and getting moldy and then getting thrown into the normal bin. The other thing is, if you like H&M clothes, you can also receive a voucher if you do donate. And then you can use it next time you shop at H&M. I mean, it's a little bit of a catch there, right? Because obviously one of the reasons that they want to do these donations or have this donation bucket there is because they can then lure people into their shop and they can give you a voucher, and then you are contributing to the fast fashion industry. So I don't know whether or not H&M is really doing anything good for the environment, but if they are recycling, then that is good. That is a good aspect of it. It doesn't necessarily mean that they are reducing their waste or their carbon emissions, though, because if they're still encouraging people to shop at their fast fashion shop, then it's not really the best alternative, but it's the only one that I have anyway been able to find for things that cannot be donated. The other thing is, if you're looking for a place to dispose of old cosmetic products, so basically what I was doing during the circuit breaker is collecting cosmetic products in a box, because all of the shops were closed. When I say circuit breaker, I'm talking about in Singapore we had a period of 2 months that they call the circuit breaker, where basically they were trying to stop the spread of coronavirus. So all retail shops were closed, restaurants were closed. So during that time I obviously couldn't go to recycle any of my items, but what I did do is collect old cosmetic products. If you can wash them out, if they're water based and you can wash out the bottles, that's great, but obviously you're not going to be able to wash out everything. However, I'm not really sure what they do with that when they do recycle if they do recycle the materials, but you can take them to a shop, at least in Singapore, and it's an international brand called Origins Beauty. I don't know if it's in Sydney, so I'm gonna have to check any similar shops in Sydney, but basically look for a shop on the internet where you can take your cosmetic waste and basically dispose of it at their shop. And the hope is that what they will do is that they will take some of those containers and they will find ways to recycle them and bring them back into their shops as new containers. I don't know, again, how flawless this is or how flawed it is, but it's better than nothing. So that's another thing that you can do when you're not necessarily moving, but when you are just in your daily life. Instead of disposing of your old foundations or mascaras or face washes or serum bottles or whatever directly into the bin, you can try to find places that will take these items and hopefully recycle some of them. Hi everybody, so it's our first night of quarantine, and I'm gonna do a dinner unboxing. So I have the veggie meal. Hero also got the veggie one, so let's take a look. Ta-da! Actually, it's quite healthy. Look, we've got chickpeas, a lot of quinoa, broccoli, bread, and this, I think this is banana bread. So there you go. It smells quite good too.
これも皆さんに紹介したかったんですけど、why am I speaking in Japanese? I was going to make this in English. Anyway, this is a laundry liquid, and I originally bought this container when I first moved to Singapore, and I just liked the shape of the container. This is a environmentally friendly laundry liquid. But the good thing is that I was able to use this same container the entire year because I would go to one of the bulk stores to fill up my laundry liquid. So I never have to buy another laundry liquid container again, and I'm hoping that I can continue to use this in Sydney, which is why I brought it back with me in my luggage. And luckily I did, because here in quarantine we cannot do, oh my gosh, this plug does not work. All my water is disappearing and my soap. What a waste. We can't do laundry. We have to do laundry like this in the sink.
Another thing that might not cross people's minds unless they are moving is moving boxes. So what I tried to do is find second-hand boxes that I could use for my moving. Maybe this is what everybody is already doing, but it's a lot cheaper than buying brand new boxes, and also you're contributing to recycling. So you can just do a quick internet search and find out where in your city there are places for you to get recycled boxes. So that's what I did in Singapore, and we just rode up there on the city bikes, so again reducing carbon emissions by riding bikes. And another thing that you might want to consider is who does the moving of your boxes. There are many reasons why you need to trust the person that you deal with, but why is this related to being an eco move? Well, because the guy was also very kind in trying to help me to reduce the number of boxes that I was sending overseas. Obviously for him, the more that I send, the more money he gets. But obviously the less that I send, the better it is for the environment, and I can save boxes, but also it costs less money. So he was trying to advise me on how I could minimize the number of boxes that I was sending back. So working with a courier that you can trust and that you have good communication with is really important. So if anybody in Sydney is sending their boxes overseas, I would definitely recommend Pack and Send in Caringbah, and the guy's name is Charlie, and he's been really, really helpful to us.
지겨워 always 왜 맘에 없는 남자만 말을 꺼내요 go away 에이 너무 뻔하잖아 식상한 매력 느끼한 말투 아무 느낌 없어 no no 제발 내 앞에 나타나줘 어디에 있나요 my love 내 구해줘.
It's day 3 and we're already feeling like we need to climb the walls, which is why I'm sitting in the windowsill. I just finished my lunch and I thought that I would comment on something. So obviously they've made a little bit of an effort to be eco in the way that they have used a paper, like a cardboard tray, and all of the meals are delivered on this type of cardboard tray, but they keep giving us plastic cutlery all the time. So I've called them up and I said, I don't need any more because I can just keep washing the one that I have. We've collected quite a few anyway, and it seems like such a waste. It's very sturdy cutlery as well. It's not like a very flimsy melt, like a fork or spoon that would melt easily. So I've already got detergent and I've got a washing cloth. I brought the washing cloth from Singapore, but the detergent they gave me when I asked them for it. So I think that that's a much better alternative than continuing to accept this type of fork.
Hi guys, it's the next day. I'm back. I'm still trying to think of ideas for what to make videos about, but as I said at the beginning, I really want to start thinking about videos that focus on eco-friendly initiatives. So anything that I might do that I find I'm making the extra effort to be a bit more eco-friendly, or things that I see other people doing. If I have the opportunity to introduce what some of my friends are doing, that would be great as well. But I think that this could be something that I do on YouTube as kind of a new series, or it might not be that regular, but whenever I have ideas, I could go ahead and shoot something. So this is the direction that I think I want to go with making videos, and it would be great to get some people's feedback or some ideas, and maybe I'll start in English and maybe I'll make some in Japanese and Korean time to time as well. Okay, see you guys soon. Bye!